We are here. Good afternoon, everyone. Hopefully you're doing great this Tuesday afternoon here at the Bisimoto headquarters. You may hear the team in the background working away, and just want to come in and say hello to you guys and see how you're doing this week. I've been a little bit under the weather past couple of days, but today's a much better day. So I'm feeling really good. Have some really cool examples of vehicles behind me. This one is Jeremy's car that's gonna be going out to him soon. You may recognize that from last year's SEMA, the Colani Utah8, which is ready to almost go. I'm gonna do some validation tomorrow as well. And of course, the Bisimoto Odyssey and this beautiful 72 single year 911. That's getting some great things going as well. Yes, thank you. Let's see, I just got a great question. BC, will you be singing at Monterey Car Week this year, says Mike Sasko. Yes, Mike, sir, we will be there. It's been a long time since I've seen you. I'll be arriving on Wednesday, the 13th, and I'll be there for 4 days. So thank you so much for asking that, you know. Yes, Steven says you're gonna blow those motors. Luckily for me, electric motor, not blown. Electric motor, not blown. Electric motor, small battery, not blown. Odyssey, since 2013, that's been running with thousands of miles, over 1,000 horsepower. No blowing up here, but thank you for your kind gesture. Appreciate your interaction nonetheless. Banzai 888, good afternoon, good seeing you, how are you? Which is the speed racer behind you, says Awa Berrygal. Awa, that is, let me see if I can raise it up higher so you can kind of see it. Right there, you kind of see that. It's the Utah8. That is known as a Colani. Luigi Colani was a very accomplished German / Italian / well, he comes a lot of countries, designer. And that was the Utah8, which is a land speed car that initially had a petrol engine, BMW motorcycle engine in there, which I don't know how well it ran or if at all, but it now has a completely reinforced tube chassis frame with 300 horsepower, full electric, with over 300 pound-foot of torque. Just amazing setup. So I should be validating that in the next few days. If you haven't joined me on YouTube, please do, because I'm gonna be doing a cool video on that and what it takes to make that thing tick, you know? ITB Kevin, hello brother, hopefully you're well, waiting for some breaks for you to come by, but he has 2 EV questions for me, and please do share. I'm here to hopefully answer your questions satisfactorily, so thank you for that pre-intro to your question. Traded a Prius, says Max Came AC11 with a Mach-E. Never been, knew driving could be so much fun. It's so weird you said that, Max C Cam Mac 11. I had a meeting with the team this morning to talk about some die-cast stuff, and we're talking about that as well, and how much fun EVs can be. And one of the guys has a old school classic Mini, and he's interested in doing that as well. Got any Ferraris there, says Awar. No, I do not. No Ferraris here. In the back garage, we have an Acura, we have a few Hondas, quite a few Porsches, a Rolls Royce, or 2 actually, a Neo EP9, Odyssey, quite a few Porsches, a crazy, another Colani, like a Corvette. Yeah, but no Ferraris here yet. I believe one is coming in the next couple of weeks, but nothing in the shop now. I think that one is a classic one, and the guy needs upgraded engine management solutions for it to have a lot of fun. Sven Hartman gave me a #1 gifter badge on TikTok. Thank you so much, Sven, for the kind gesture. Appreciate you indeed. Thank you. Top Shelf says, nice cars. Thank you so much. Warrior Fella with a #1 crown says, hey, BC. Hello, Warrior Fella on YouTube Live. Thank you so much for joining. KR says, hello, KR. Thank you so much for joining. Bellboy Fab Chris. Hello, Chris, sir. Speaking of Chris, do you remember you helped with that Odyssey back in the day? There you are indeed. Please. Kevin says, first, what is the maintenance like on EVs, and how often do you change the oil in the gearbox? Great question. Based upon my experience, never through the life of the vehicle I have. So I think the highest mileage EV that I've had access to is the 2021 Kona EV. And that one was acquired from Hyundai Motors America in 2021. It has about 80,000 miles and never changed the coolant, never changed the oil. So one of the advantages that we see with electric vehicles is that the maintenance is much lower. Also that there are less movable parts in the drive unit itself compared to what you see in a petrol internal combustion drive unit. So that being said, yeah, that is the one. And coolant, no need. Oil, no need. The only time I've ever had to change and put in the Dextron 6 is if we took a large or small drive unit from a Tesla and put into a conversion project. Then we fill it up. But apart from that, none whatsoever. Laura Marie Gregg says this is from San Dimas, my neighbor. Hello, Laura. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining, neighbor. But it can't be a lifetime fluid. I agree. Nothing should be a lifetime. But what I have seen from our industry is a gentleman, I had a client come here with 335,000 miles on his, 340,000 miles on his Model S. And he finally broke his rear differential. I guess he was having a lot of fun. He had a curb, did something crazy, and came here to buy a differential, and he still had the original oil in it. So he was asking me questions about that. He's gonna change his fluid and also put in a new drive unit differential. And I think, yeah, just change it. And you have to let him know to put 1.5 quarts in the large drive unit and using Dextron 6 as his fill. So far, so good indeed, you know? Let's see, how do you say your name? Dingus Mingus on TikTok said, looks like a concept car, but of what? So that is not a concept car. It's actually a creation, a fluid, organic creation by Luigi Colani, who's a late designer who's no longer with us. One of my customers has acquired his fleet of creations and is now bringing them to life. The guy was a little bit of an eccentric, but also mixed in with some genius and madness. So a lot of the cars look crazy. Did they run very well? Debatable, but we are making them 100% drivers. So you may have seen me post last week this crazy looking ball or shoe of a car that's like a double bicycle kind of ride. And if you haven't, look at my videos when we're done here. And he created that. There's a Corvette here that's very super long nose. With the interior done, he created that as well. We'll cover that when it's completed. He did this as well. We have a couple other cars coming to us by the grace of God. So it's really good stuff. Dingy, thank you so much for the #2 gifter badge. Beautiful, can we see the whole thing? So Dingus, I have a crazy setup here. It's very difficult for me to take this entire ensemble and walk around a car. What I will do for you is in the next few business days, I will put out a proper video on that on YouTube. So if you haven't subscribed to the Bisimoto YouTube channel, when we're done here, or you can excuse yourself for a few moments and come back, but when we're done, go and follow me, Bisimoto, Bisimoto, on the YouTube feed. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, so every time that I upload something, you get a nice alert. And you'll see that. It's really cool. We have some old school photos of how it looked when it came in. Not much to write home about. Now it's beautiful, interior is gorgeous. Deck lid underneath is absolutely spectacular with a lot of cool technology and power. The body's nice, has lights, horn, reverse, tail lights when you're cruising. Just like in the race cars back in the day, it has a nice green when you're cruising. When you hit the brake light, flashes red and stays on. It's pretty cool. Really nice indeed, you know? Hello, Anthony Reyes. Thank you so much for joining this Bisimoto Tech Tuesday on this lovely Tuesday afternoon. Appreciate you indeed. And the one you just spoke about, I wonder how many batteries he has went through. If you're talking about that one, that's the first and only pack that's only been in the car. So hasn't been through any, unless you're talking about the guy with 300,000 miles, I did ask him that, original battery pack. And his pack is still good at a 300,000 mile mark, no noticeable degradation. And he's just gonna change the differential and keep rocking and rolling. So he's good, you know? I see they're celebrating over there. So something probably good happened with the, over here with the, shifting is good. Are you able to determine if the orientation is correct? Is first, reverse, is there any way to know? Because I don't know if we have to switch the poles or whatnot. Try to see if we can get reverse. Oh, we're doing some kind of crazy weird stuff here. Bert Robinson from TikTok, what's up to you as well? Thank you so much. Kovos makes a good point, fellow enthusiast and engineer. He said, batteries in EVs last an insanely long time now. Usually you get 1 or 2 submodels, but you just swap those and it's fine. I may have missed the first part of your second question. Let's see here if I missed Kevin. How do you see EVs lasting long term? How many of them do you think are gonna go 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 miles? Quite a few. And like anything out there, I mean, honestly guys, complete transparency, I have never driven a petrol car to 300,000 miles. I just never done it. The closest thing was my original wagon, which is maybe 220, and the gasket went. It was a blown head gasket, or I would say leaking head gasket. And what would happen is, on normal cool days, I can drive to oblivion, but on a hot day, I cannot go up a hill. You know, it would just overheat. My experience with petrol engines has just been normal. Like, you know, sometimes the cars last 200,000 miles without qualm. Sometimes I have a problem. I think we have a car now that's at the Honda dealership where I had a engine failure with a stock car, and it was like 50,000 miles. So I'm not gonna discount every internal combustion engine because I had a 50,000 mile failure. Oh, as a matter of fact, I take that back. I had a vehicle have an issue at 1,000 mile mark, that's petrol, and it was a challenge. On the flip side, I saw a Nissan Leaf that we did a television show on that also had almost 300,000 miles, and that thing went from, I think, 150 mile range to like 40, like 40 mile range, right? And that degradation made sense because it was an early battery setup and was air cooled and didn't have very good heat management. So that caused the cells to degrade quite a bit, you know? So yeah, to answer your, I see them lasting a very long time. And once again, like anything, whether it's petrol or electric, how you use the car dictates how well the vehicle performs. So if you're someone who continues to floor your cars and do massive discharge, flooring every day, and then every day you just rapid charge it as well, you're putting your batteries through a lot of discharge and charge high amp cycles. And that is kind of harder on battery cells. Same thing that if you had a BMW M3 boosted and you're just flooring it every day. Flooring that every day doesn't do very well for your bearings, your rings. If it's a very hot day, you have some kind of poor fuel or knock situation, you can hurt the motor. There's so many things. Drive the car properly, maintain it, charge it, use proper stuff. Your vehicle will take care of you. Take care of it, and it will take care of you. The minivan is back is what made BC famous, says the Mexican Arab. Thank you so much. It is. The Odyssey was my most popular build, still is. The Mobi is getting kind of popular recently, but that thing, yes, has been my most popular build to date. Is it what made me that famous? I don't know. I guess if I had to put my finger on one attribute that helped my popularity a lot in the scene, it had to be when I was drag racing with the single cam stuff. I'm breaking all those records and winning events and winning championships with an engine that was considered a David amongst a ton of Goliaths. I feel was kind of what made us and attracted other manufacturers to us to do some really cool stuff. So hopefully that works. Kovo says batteries in EVs last an insanely long time now. Usually you get like 1 or 2 submodels, but you just swap those and it's fine. I think I may have mentioned that already, so forgive me for saying that. Well, us poor people have to make our cars last, says IGB Kevin. Yeah, I think all of us do. Whether we're poor or financially comfortable, it makes sense to make things last. I mean, who wants to just throw away money for the sake of throwing away money? That's kind of sad, right? Banzai888 says, what booth will you be at SEMA? What cars are you bringing? Let me see, what could I share? We have cars in the Toyo Trespass right now, and we have cars in Central Hall in what SEMA so fondly refers to as the future tech booth, where future technologies for mobility and performance, racing, motorsports are celebrated. So whether you're battery electric vehicle or hybrid or flex fuel or hydrogen or acetone powered, steam powered, whatever is really futuristic in terms of technology, that's where SEMA has placed a really beautiful section where Toyota used to be, because Toyota's not where Ford is, but where Toyota used to be, this huge area in Central Hall, which is pretty much Central Hall is a place to be when it comes to anything performance. That's where we have cars. What cars are we bringing? Let's see. For the sake of protecting the innocent, let's say I'm bringing right now 1 Honda, brand new, 2 Porsches, and a Ford. I can say that for now. The biggest concern for long-term support, says Corvote, of EVs is proprietary maintenance, where software becomes lost media. I think I follow you because most of these newer cars tend to be software-defined vehicles, and one cool thing about software-defined vehicles, as Corvote has also alluded to, is it kind of takes away the old model of how we used to buy cars. And what do I mean by that, friends and family? Not too long ago, and you can still do it today, especially on the internal combustion engine side with legacy manufacturers. You buy a car, and pretty much what you get from the manufacturer off the lot is what you leave with. And anything that happens with the car afterwards is either you modifying it with aftermarket parts yourself or with a shop, or you just accepting that this is what you get, this is the best the car is gonna get, driving off the lot, and that's what you're stuck with indefinitely. The cool thing about software-defined vehicles, and Tesla really led the charge with this aspect, forgive my pun, no pun intended, those cars, when they leave the lot, can be at a certain spec, and as time progresses, because of the software updates over the air, the car literally gets better. Better range, better management. If there are any recalls, it can be addressed remotely and electronically. So that being said, what does that mean? You can literally buy a car from Tesla, and in a year from when we purchased, the car is actually better than when we first got it. It has better features, better safety, better creature comforts, better management, longer range, cleaner screens, better interface, better connectivity with you and the vehicle, better self-driving capabilities. Just the car gets better, which is really a rarity in our industry prior to Tesla bringing that to light, and now other manufacturers following suit. The Honda Prologue, which has been my daily driver for a few months now since SEMA last year, thereabout, also has over-the updates that makes it a better car as time progresses. So whether it's with the App CarPlay or some of the other features in the vehicle that make my drives more enjoyable, it continues to improve as time progresses. And I think that's a really, really good thing for us. Hello, Bass Fishing 338. Thank you so much for joining via courtesy of YouTube. Thank you for the hearts, appreciate that. The Mexican Arab has an opinion. He says, petrol cars are still the best ideal method when you talk about repairs and replacing parts. The Mexican Arab, I would politely disagree with you there. If you're talking about replacing parts, I don't know, that's debatable. If you talk about repairs, definitely debatable. As I mentioned to Kevin a moment ago, I have had zero maintenance on any of my EV. I think the most recent thing I had to do on EV was I broke axles, or broke axle bolts. So I had to replace that. Didn't have to do anything with seals, no head gaskets, no valve train, no springs, no retainers. And I really don't know what we as a community need to do to be able to admire the different methods of propulsion without attacking or bashing. I enjoy everything. I enjoy the Odyssey, which is pure internal combustion with alcohol. And I also enjoy this red one, which will be my test bed tomorrow. I mean, I enjoy them all. They're all different. That sounds ridiculously crazy, loud, amazing, shoots flames, backfires, just a lot of fun. Kind of useless in the traction department because being front wheel drive and 4 digits spins the tires at liberty. This right here is just magical. It doesn't have any crazy noises, has a nice soft whine to it, accelerates like a bat out of hell compared to another, even, let's say compared to a similar horsepower petrol engine. This won't smell, won't leak, has the opportunity of destroying it in terms of acceleration and fun. Don't have to worry about emissions or going to weird smog stuff. And beyond that, geez, the acceleration is unlike anything you can ever experience. You sit in the car and it smells and feels like a classic 930 until you press on the factory pedal, and it's night and day. So now, if you're talking about the age-old hot rodding process, the Mexican Arab, where you get a vehicle and it's internal combustion and you want to make more power, you take off the exhaust manifold and put on a header. Or you take off the intake manifold or your restrictive air box and put in a high flow K&N filter. Yeah, that's really easy to do with petrol engines and can increase power quite rapidly. On the flip side with EVs, if I want to change the power on this, which I'm going to be playing with both of these in the next couple of days, I'm keystrokes away. Same thing I do with boost control, I can do with torque management on these. So they're different. What are some of the things I don't like about EVs? I just talked about this earlier today. I went to Fuel Fest with the Plaid, and I did some racing. And after some racing, I literally had to leave the track to charge up because Each time I do a run down the strip, I consume energy. And then when I go back in line again to run again, I am not at the same horsepower as I did the run before because my voltage capacity is now lower, and hence the power I'm creating is now with the lower voltage capacity. So hence I'm a slower car. On the flip side, if I had a petrol car and if the conditions were the same, all things being equal, I would run the same time. If conditions got better, where it's a cooler, denser atmosphere, I'll even go faster. With the EVs, I need to make the fastest time with the highest state of charge possible. I leave the track to go and recharge, which is a pain to itself. I go to Pomona locally, and the charging station didn't work because people vandalized it. Why would someone go and cut wires on a charging station? Who knows? Maybe they started viciously against them, I don't know. But that was inconvenient for me, so I had to leave there and go to another city nearby. That's Claremont, a little more higher end city, and that was fine. I was able to charge without qualm. So everything okay, Jonathan?
Yeah.
Okay, so that being said, that is a disadvantage for me, to have to leave the track, the fact that every run is not the same. You have to have the highest charge, which I don't mind. I mean, I would take a step back to my Petrol days with the Insight, let's say, for example. That ran an alternator-less system with a 16-volt battery pack, which is lithium ion, with a dry sump that had to be heated up ideally to get the best power. So each time I did a run, which scared me, right? If I did a burnout and they had to shut down the track, now my battery capacity is lower and I had to wait until they clean the track and did another burnout, and my time is not as best because my spark energy is not as high because my voltage is not as high because I wasted on burnout. Anyway, what's the point I'm trying to make? When I go back to the pits after each run with the Insight, I couldn't just get back in line. I had to plug into a charger, charge my 16-volt battery system. I had to plug in my dry sump tank to heat it up and get my oil nice and warm, for the pure oil to stay warm and allow me to have better viscosity through my engine to make more power, keep everything nice and warm. So I did have to do that. So I'm used to actually prepping before each run. But for me, one of the beauties of the low 9-second, high 8-second plaid that I have is I feel great driving to the track with AC, racing and driving home without any of the inconveniences. But I did have the inconvenience of having to go charge, chargers were destroyed, and that's uncomfortable. I'd rather just pour fuel in and stage again, right? So each system has its own advantage and disadvantage. And I'm here to celebrate them all. Some days I'll drive this. I even drove the van, and Jonathan and Nick came out, they were clapping that I drove. They're like, "Yay, you brought the van." It's like, it's great, right? On the flip side, same thing with Jonathan. When I first met him, he had this awesome Tacoma. That was his go-to. He drove around, had so many adventures with that car. He now has a Model 3 Performance. I'm so proud, but this is someone who, when I first met him, could care less about EVs. Now his daily driver is a Model 3 Performance, and he can spank Vipers literally out there with a Model 3. How crazy is that, right? So it's a lot of fun. So let's enjoy the environment we're in, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have the opportunity to embrace the different technologies, take advantage of them, enjoy them. Some days I'll drive the Odyssey and it'll be great and it'll be fun. Other times I'll take like this EV930 and it'll be absolutely beautiful and fun, and we'll spank a bunch of people and have a lot of fun. And that Odyssey on ethanol, I can probably drive 170 miles, like I fill up again. With this one, I can drive 150, I got fill up again. So, and then I got to look for an E85 station. And so let's enjoy it all. How about that? Let's enjoy it all, I know they're going to get better in time, as everything does, as ITB absolutely. And think about it. Whether you look at performance or mobility, when it comes to internal combustion engines, they had a 100-year advantage over EVs. 100 years. For over 100 years, they've been designed, modified, improved upon. What EVs kind of started and kind of went away, a lot has occurred in the past few years, and it's absolutely spectacular. So guys, let's enjoy. Let's enjoy. And just take advantage, Have you had any hope for hydrogen systems? Love your work, says X-Trunk Monkey X. Yes. Hydrogen is a fuel that I found very, very appealing. One, the abundance is second to none. It's just ridiculous. Hydrogen is everywhere. It's just ridiculous how much hydrogen we have. And the creation is quite nice. I wasn't too much of a fan of hydrogen fuel cells, because the hydrogen fuel cells, where you use hydrogen and you create electricity using a kind of fuel cell setup, And then you use the electricity created by hydrogen to power this vehicle with electric, or I should say, EV drive units. And you lose some efficiency along the way, and because of how quickly the hydrogen could generate electricity, or lack thereof, didn't make a really good case for really high performance. Now, using hydrogen as a combustible fuel, on the other hand, now that is awesome. The cars can sound just like an internal combustion, so for those of you who love the sounds and the vibrations and all that fun stuff of internal combustion, you can have that with hydrogen as a combustible fuel. Have to still do some some very clever things to clean up the tailpipe emissions, because unlike EVs where there's nothing coming out of the tailpipe, with the hydrogen combustible vehicles, you still have to use oxygen and some of the nitrogen that's in the atmosphere to be able to combust. And what ends up happening, you do have oxides of nitrogen that can be detrimental to the atmosphere. So if not addressed, that nitrogen could, form nitric acid in the atmosphere, could manifest itself in acid rain, all that fun stuff. So you still have to address some of it to make it very clean, but you don't have that putrid smell. It just smells really clean. And here's the kicker, the part I love the most. 10, and in some cases up to 30% more efficiency. Better yet, let me say it in BC speak. Power, 10 to 30% more power in the same engine using hydrogen as combustible fuel versus, let's say, standard gasoline. So it's a good win, right? Challenge with that, you have to have very high pressure tanks, very clever engine management solutions for monitoring the fuel, a lot of good fail safes. Even your wide bands have to go to a wider range than they're accustomed to looking at. And then finding stations. Luckily in Ontario, near the airport, we have a filling station here for hydrogen. But if you're out and about, if I'm out in the San Gabriel Valley, no, even further, if I'm out like towards Palmdale, Lancaster, I'm asking for it, So there's some issues with supply chain there when it comes to that, Honda Power, says Danbo215. Yeah, there's actually, you can't see it, but I'm facing this beautiful DA. Absolutely gorgeous on these works, like aero fins, beautiful. Odyssey there. In the inner room, there's the inside. There's also action clutches, EG, turbocharged setup. There's also the all-wheel drive turbo wagon in there. Honda's always been my first love. And my daily driver today was the 2024 Prologue. So very nice indeed, Redline Media says, I'ma hopefully visit your shop sometime this year if everything goes well. Greetings, I don't know where you are, but yeah, reach out to us and maybe we can make something happen. Especially if we don't have anything secretive here. We have a couple projects that shouldn't be out there seen, but nonetheless, yeah, maybe we can make something happen. I met you a couple of times, says Dambo215. Thank you so much. I love meeting fellow enthusiasts. Appreciate your support and your advocacy of our program. Corvote says, EV battery longevity has improved immensely in only the last 5 years, and they already were lasting incredibly long, and I agree. Technologies improve, components improve, technologies get better and better. The time will come when we will have more than double, if not triple the capacity with a smaller footprint and less weight. And even then, just like, I tend to use this rough analogy sometimes, just like horses never went away and is almost relegated to those of means, will that happen with internal combustion? Who knows? We'll see. I don't know. I don't know what the future holds, but you know what I do know? The team and I will continue to take advantage of all the different technologies that come our way to make our cars fun and enjoyable. I'm not interested in putting around. I'm not interested in a standard stock RAV4 driving around. I'm not interested in a standard Mitsubishi Colt driving around. I'm not interested in a Model 3 base driving around. I like to have fun. If it's gonna be a Model 3, it needs to be a performance. It's gonna be a Model S, let it be a Plaid. If it's gonna be an electric Porsche, let it not be something with a small motor mated to a gearbox, a 915 gearbox that barely holds any power. Let it be one of these crazy 600 horsepower plus monsters with over 700 pound-foot of torque. You gotta see this video, and I'm gonna post it in the next few days on my YouTube feed. You have to see the video that the bus guy to me. We just did a bus that guy picked up. I'm like, these guys are crazy. The way he's driving it, I wouldn't even drive that way. It's crazy, but it's a lot of fun. And that's the benefit here, giving our clients and our friends the opportunity to enjoy their cars, drive it as it's supposed to be. The Mobi right now isn't paint getting touched up. You know why? Because I have a bunch of rock chips and fractures because I drive the crap out of it. It doesn't just sit in a garage or sit in a showroom. We beat on it. Whether it's from the highways of the west side and the 405 to the downtown LA potholes, we go everywhere with those cars. So it's pretty good indeed, you know? What would you recommend putting a Honda B Series engine in? The B Series engine from Honda, especially the VTEC versions, I see as the small block Chevys of the Honda world. So people tend to put those in everything. We were just talking this morning with the guys from the diecast company. People put them in minis, even though it's a really big shoehorn. It's very commonplace to put them in smaller, older cars, CRXs, Civics, wagons, you name it. Anything, in my opinion, where it can fit and made to a gearbox that turns clockwise, did I say clockwise? Counterclockwise, that's the way to go. We're doing H to D, H to B, B to D, whatever the case may be. Whatever can fit, have fun with it. The funny thing is that the B Series engines, especially clean, good ones, are kind of harder and harder to find. It seems that that shift from the B Series is now moving towards the K, especially since there's so many varieties of Ks, from the earlier K20, K20A, to K24s out of TSX and CRVs, to even the new K20s in the Type Rs. So that being said, there's so many opportunities there. My mantra, if it can fit, shoehorn it in. Have fun, because the aftermarket support is second to none. MaxCam C11 says, do you think we'll see a plug-in hybrid Odyssey or even a Senna Prime in the near future? It's very possible. The one cool thing about hybrids is that it allows for two really cool things to happen. On a positive note, of course. One, it allows you to combine the benefits of both the petrol engine and electric vehicle into one. So that makes things really interesting, where you can have the immediate torque and acceleration of an electric setup. And then you can also have the lack of range anxiety and ease of fueling up of the petrol side if you have it as a combination. Now, the cool thing about a plug-in hybrid versus a standard integrated motor hybrid, which are the kind of the two most popular ones. There's a third one, which is EREV, and I'll get into that a little bit in a moment. The plug-in hybrid allows you to plug in and you can literally drive the car on battery power alone. So if you have a plug-in hybrid, let's say like the Chrysler Pacifica hybrid, you can possibly do, I mean, that's not even a good example. Let me use a better example of like the Chevy Volt, where let's say that you live 15 miles away from your residence, your work, and you plug in. Since you get up to 50-mile range with the Chevy Volt, you can literally drive to and from work for months. I've heard sometimes people do this for years without consuming a drop of fuel. And then if you're ever somewhere where you have to drive far or you forget to charge or something comes up, the petrol engine kicks in and drives you along. So that's a good advantage. So that's one. Secondly, people who are a little EV curious but can't quite make the leap feel a little bit more comfortable doing something that is in between, hence hybrid. So they do that. Back on all the different types of hybrids, I just mentioned to you the plug-in. The standard integrated motor assist is what you'll see in, let's say, the earlier Hyundai Ioniqs. You'll see in the CRZ. You'll see in quite a few other cars made by some even lower and high-end manufacturers, where the electric motor assist, and Mazda does the same thing, where on demand, when you floor it, electrical motor kicks in to help you torque, help you accelerate, help you merge with the freeway, help you increase more range, helps the electrical motor helps the petrol engine not consume as much fuel, so you get better mileage and more range. It's not unheard of to hear almost 500-mile range on Ioniq, because the electric motor does help it. And the electric motor doesn't need a separate plug. It literally uses regen and or the setup from the petrol engine to recharge the batteries. So there's so much opportunity there to do some wonderful things. And last but not least, and it's one that's becoming very popular, especially some EV companies, known as EREV. And what EREV does, Nissan is embracing that, so are other companies that are quite popular in the truck space. What they tend to do is pretty much have the vehicle as set up like you would any typical battery electric vehicle. You can charge battery, you use the battery, but if you get to a point where your battery state of charge is very low, you have a very efficient petrol engine. When I say efficient, instead of varying RPM from low to high, instead of going for low throttle to high throttle, it takes advantage of the design of internal combustion engine, where the car is very efficient near peak torque, and it hovers that let's call it range extender, around that peak torque. So the engine uses the most minimum amount of fuel to create the most energy to charge the battery pack. So you can now take a vehicle that has, let's say, 200, 300 mile range on a BEV and add an additional 100, 150, 200 to it using a petrol engine. You can go anywhere to fill up for petrol, right? And once again, the beauty is you don't have this time frame. You don't have this span where you're starting for low torque, low efficiency and building up to peak and falling off. Literally, these engines are designed to run at a peak efficiency to make your fueling much easier and more efficient and allow you to get more range out of your E-Rev vehicle. So yeah, kind of works very well. Yes, I figure how often you fast charge them will kill the longevity of them, says ITB Kevin. It was initially, especially with older protocols. Nowadays, with not only the substrates used inside the batteries, not including the cathode and anode type of materials, the fluid that's inside, how they're packaged, how they're manufactured, how the energy is being put into the battery, the C rating of the cells that are built into the battery, how well can the batteries take charging and discharging, all that plays a role. Kevin, can you believe that today's battery technology, let's even look at a company like Volvo, for example, the way they charge and the protocol exists with battery management, it causes no degradation at all, fast charging, even if you did it daily. When we're talking earlier on, I gave an example, I was talking about earlier Model S vehicles, like the earlier Teslas, or I gave a good perfect example with the Nissan Leaf. Fast forward to today, even though Nissan Leafs are still air-cooled with the latest generation, those vehicles have a better cooling protocol, better design. I have one of the battery packs up there. It looks vastly superior to the earlier gens that we have. You can't see because that hood is kind of blocking it, but behind that hood is a battery pack for a Leaf. They've come a long way with cooling and design. The battery management protocol is very different. Everything that was a bit of a disadvantage has been addressed. And that's what you call improvement technology. And same thing with internal combustion. Do you remember back in the day when we first had the first petrol engines, they would barely go over 30 miles an hour? Look now. So things continue to improve. And that's what I love about technology. That's what I love about cars too, you know? Oh, Corvold even answered my question before I even saw his answer. He says, fast charging is as damaging as it used to be fair. He's absolutely correct. I just went into more detail, but Corvold is absolutely correct. And he said it has to do a lot with battery management and thermal control. The Mexican Arab says, Teslas need a 10,000, 14,000 battery charge at 150 miles to is wild. Not true, sir. I don't know where that came from. I'm sorry. That is not what I've seen. If anything, God, I don't want to throw my people on the bus, but do you know how many Porsches come here with engines that are messed up? And those cars aren't even anywhere near 100,000 miles? And do you know how much it costs to... Do you know that a smoking 3.6 engine for a classic Porsche, do you know that it costs 25 grand for a blown motor? Then you gotta build it. No, the Mexican Arab, I would like to say I understand where you're coming from, but unfortunately, no. And even if I had a Model S, if Nick picked up a Model S tomorrow with a battery pack that's just kaput, is bricked, it wouldn't cost him anywhere near 10,000 to swap it out at all. But, you know, I appreciate the sentiment, appreciate that indeed. You know, that's why we're here, back and forth to talk, but I respectfully disagree with that, you know? The one you spoke of is the first one I've heard of, being over 120 miles on it. I've seen quite a few. I had another gentleman who came here to ask me if I wanted to buy some motors, because he had quite a few motors laying around. And his was 270,000. And then at the recent event in Orange County, it was in Long Beach City College, I saw someone put a Tahoe body on a Model S, and that vehicle had over 150,000 miles before he did a swap, and he used all the same components. So I don't know where these rumors are coming from, guys. And I just give an example of I have an SUV that's petrol based, 50,000 miles, motor's gone through a rod, stock car. So it's like, am I gonna judge every internal combustion engine on that one car? No, at all. On the flip side, Kevin, I think you're gonna talk to me about diesel. My diesel has 130,000 on it. It's been fine, same engine, no challenge. And I picked up a Porsche 911 from the auctions with 34,000 miles, knocking her out already. So guys, it really depends on a combination of the luck of the draw, how the car is maintained, the lack thereof. Are there any recalls? Painting a white brush, like EVs suck because at 100,000 miles, you gotta put a 10,000 to car. It's like me saying I'm not gonna buy a BMW M3 because at 50,000 miles, I'm gonna need a whole new motor. Which is my experience, by the way. I mean, I got an E92 and the warranty is like up to 50,000 and it's like magical. At 50,000, my coil started going out, an actuator for the cam control broke, and then my tank would act like empty when it was half tank. You know how frustrating it is, you're driving with half a tank, your car cuts off in the middle of the freeway. It happened to me on the 91, cut off in the fast lane. And I had to kind of safely put neutral and kind of push it. No one even stopped to help. I had to push it to the side of the road. That was really dangerous because my tank, I don't know what was going on with it. I don't know what was going on. I just got rid of it. But I'm not going to condemn every internal combustion because of my horrible experience at a 50,000 mile car. And BMWs are very popular. We have a lot of clients coming here. I don't work on them, but we have a lot of clients coming here asking, do you work on them? Do you work on it? Could you help me modify mine? Have a lot of fun. But my experience has just been not so positive on it, you know? Tesla will be the only car brand on Mars, says Tumbleweed. That's interesting. We'll see. 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 ITB Kevin says EVs are getting better, but 90% of them are ugly as F. So subjective. I think all new cars are getting kind of weird looking. And that's why I love classic ones. I like doing weird stuff like this. So yeah, I kind of do my own thing. What is a very attractive EV that I like that's factory? I like the Taycans. I think they're beautiful. Audi's e-tron GT, I think is absolutely a gorgeous car. Rimac makes some crazy, ridiculous supercars. The Neo EP9 we're building is going to be just absolutely bonkers. So yeah, does the Nissan Leaf do anything for me? No. The Aria looks okay. The Prologue is gorgeous. Okay. So Kevin, I disagree with you. The Honda Prologue SUV, awesome. That thing looks dope. I like the Plaid that I have. The Model 3s look good as well when they're slammed. They look good. What is an ugly EV? Maybe the EV1 I didn't quite care for. The new Model 3, I kind of like the look of those. What other EV would I not like? I didn't like any of the Priuses until the most recent gen. So yeah, quite a bit, you know. Redline Media says, would you ever come to Sonoma Raceway for any event? It'd be awesome to see your cars here. I've been there twice, actually. Sonoma was the location, and you can, Corvolt, you can attest to this, was the location for the Tesla takeover, I would say Tesla takeover. Let me change that mindset. It was actually the venue for Holly High Voltage 2 years in a row, which is great. So that being said, I love that. Marky671, thank you for the number 2 gifter badge. So I've been to Sonoma a couple times. I wouldn't mind coming out there again. Beautiful track, by the way, beautiful facility. Love it, love it, love it, love it, you know? Jay's World says, my Dodge Cummins has over 370,000 miles on it, and it's still running. The things were maintained and transmission and the compound turbos, and that's it. That's good, that's great. That's fantastic. Yeah, diesels are known to be workhorses. I mean, I love them, military loves them. I just don't love how dirty some of them can be, but yeah, they're workhorses. And once again, we've seen, wow, there was one at the Peterson that was 500,000 miles, original motor, original batteries. Guys, it's just, it depends. There are too many variables. What I'm asking you as friends and family is not to paint a white brush and, just say these things, Laura Marie Gregg, neighbor, says, do you still dyno gas engines? Yes, I do. So I talked about this beautiful aerofin based DA in front of me. It's here for tuning. I plan on also tuning the action car that's in the showroom. So yes, by all means. And you have a 63 Falcon project with a Honda J series with a Miata transmission. That is dope. Goes February. Yes, we can definitely make that happen, by all means. Gentlemen, I think you guys have a visitor. Gentlemen, I think you have a visitor. So yeah, that being said, absolutely, absolutely. No 5W30 in stock. No, I don't have any of those in stock, unfortunately. What are those? What's that Hot Wheels? So beautiful. Hot Wheels. Where did you see a Hot Wheel? Are you talking about that car right there? That is a Colani Utah8 land speed car that went from a small BMW, I talked about BMWs today, petrol internal combustion engine to a 300 horsepower full electric. It was pretty cool. So that being said, guys, oh my God, time is flying. We're almost 1 p.m. But anyway, I gotta get back to work. It's a pleasure interacting with all of you guys. Thank you so much for being part of it and the great questions today. Once again, if I can impart any kind of wisdom, keep an open mind. We are in the most amazing time to be enthusiasts because we have so much at our disposal. Diesels, petrol, hybrids, electric, hydrogen. Guys, there's not a better time to be alive, to be an automotive enthusiast than now. Take advantage of all, enjoy, and I'll see you out there on the roadways and the trackways. Take care, everyone. Cheers.